Chapter 24:13, Light Plunges into Darkness 1. Fatty Sue snorted with laughter. If you really starve to death, the annals of the Brilliant Moon Empire will record this line, the great Earth Star dog Brian, who proved with his life that dogs are foodies. Professor Da Vinci gulped down a mouthful of Cosigio liquor, then added slowly, keep an eye on him for me. Chewing bones is fine, but make sure he doesn't eat any poop. Woof. Woof 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 woof. The cabin erupted in laughter once more. Yet behind the laughter, everyone knew farewell was imminent. The starship's trail sliced through the night sky, trailing a long streak of light as it sped toward the Brilliant Moon Empire. That light resembled a flame in the river of fate, bright and solitary. Zhang Yi's spacecraft touched down on the landing platform of the Brilliant Moon Empire. The 7th Silver Moon Guard, led personally by Xiu Liunian, awaited their arrival here. The hatch opened, and Zhang Yi and the others stepped out one by one. Meteor and Fenggu positioned themselves in the middle of the group. Meteor lifted her head. Spotting Xiu Liunian, a gentle smile touched her lips. Sister Liunian. Xiu Liunian looked at Meteor. Her eyes held no trace of anger over her wandering, only a loving smile breaking through her usually frosty demeanor. Welcome back. Had enough fun out there? It was quite enjoyable. Their exchange unfolded as if the incident that had caused such headaches for the lunar people of the two great empires had never occurred. In reality, however, her escape had cost both nations over 10,000 lunar warriors. Zhang Yi couldn't be bothered to pass judgment. If Meteor truly wanted to survive, she hadn't done anything wrong. It was the lunar people's own affair anyway. None of them cared, so why should Zhang Yi? This world held no stage for NPCs. Meteor's sacrifice carried profound tragic weight, while the deaths of ordinary lunar warriors drew scarcely a glance. Xiu Liunian's gaze shifted to Fenggu, her eyes flashing with a sharp, cold light. Ink Shadow Warrior, you were the one who took Meteor away. Fenggu snorted coldly, his gaze hostile. Zhang Yi explained their situation, but Xiu Liunian dismissed it. This was the territory of the Brilliant Moon Empire. Even if a Dark Moon priest arrived here, they wouldn't dare cause trouble. A mere Ink Shadow Warrior with a mere 42,000 points of ability index certainly couldn't turn the world upside down. Xiu Liunian pulled Meteor close and sighed softly. There was no need for such haste originally, but recently, the disturbances at the abyss of eternal darkness have grown exceptionally violent. This feels unnatural. Therefore, the ceremony to ignite the fire seed must commence without delay. Meteor nodded. I understand. I always have. It's fine, Sister Liunian. Xiu Liunian glanced at Zhang Yi and the others, offering a sincere nod. Thank you, guests from Earthstar. The Brilliant Moon Empire will never forget your sacrifices. We shall reward you generously in due time. However, we must now proceed with the ceremony without delay. You are welcome to witness it. A flicker of unusual color passed through Zhang Yi's eyes. He smiled faintly. Very well. I'm also quite curious to see what this so-called igniting the flame ceremony entails. Led by Xiu Liunian, they journeyed deeper into the heart of the Brilliant Moon Empire. The abyss of eternal darkness. The source of darkness and silence upon the moon. Here, there was no wind, no sound, as if the very breath of the world had been choked off. The earth beneath their feet cracked open, revealing pitch-black radiance seeping from the fissures. This light did not illuminate, it devoured, like countless eyes gazing up from the abyss's depths. In this realm of chaos and deathly stillness, all things seemed insignificant and powerless. Rock walls twisted, bearing the scars of having been crushed by some colossal force billions of years ago. Shattered stone pillars and fragments floated mid-air, suspended as if by some unnameable gravitational pull. This was the birthplace of the Dark Moon Empire. Legend tells that the power of the Drucker Titan, Samel, first seeped forth from this place, giving birth to the Dark Empire and the bloodline-bound tribes bound to it. Now, 3 figures appeared within this silent, dark abyss. Foremost stood a figure cloaked in pitch-black robes, their hem drifting like flames through the void. A dark abyss, dark enough to render faces non-existent. Xian Yu Fei Ming, 6th Priestess of the Dark Moon. She stood before the abyss of eternal darkness, her shadowy aura seeming to merge with the darkness itself. She herself was born of this abyss, her kind's origin forged by the Drucker divine race. Yet their ancestors later chose betrayal, abandoning their duty to release Samuel for the selfish preservation of their own kind. Still, deep within the souls of the Dark Moon clan, the desire to save their creator persisted. Thus, within their ranks, this conviction never faded. This generation, led by Xian Yu Fei Ming, boasts a group of fervent believers known as the Seal Breakers. Indeed, everything was orchestrated by these Seal Breakers. Both the abduction of Meteor by Fenggu and the subsequent death of Shi Yuyan were Xian Yu Fei Ming's schemes. Who else but a Dark Moon priest could wield such formidable power? Xian Yu Fei Ming slowly raised a hand, fingertips tracing the void. In that instant, a faint, rumbling growl echoed from the abyss's depths, as if some colossal, slumbering entity stirred. Her voice was deep and raspy, tinged with unmasked fervor. "Lord Samuel, our creator. Do you still slumber? Billions of years have passed, yet your whisper still thunders through my blood. Today, I shall open a new rift for you, allowing your will to descend once more." Xian Yu Fei Ming murmured, while not far behind her stood two figures. They wore the silver-white sacred robes of the Holy See, their eyes fixed intently on the vast abyss ahead and Xian Yu Fei Ming, priest of commandments Orion, and mourning sister Leibniz. These two came from the light-worshipping Eastern Orthodox Church, yet now they stood within the darkness of the abyss of eternal darkness, allied with the Dark Moon Priestess. Xian Yu Fei Ming slowly turned, her gaze sweeping over them, her eyes flickering with a barely perceptible questioning. "Orion, Leibniz. You have passed my trial. But what purpose could the Holy Sea of Light possibly have for stepping into the darkness? Did you not constantly proclaim your intent to judge heretics and burn blasphemers? Yet now, you stand with me, tearing apart that seal." Her voice was low, laced with both allure and scorn. Orion's gaze remained icy, his voice as hard as steel. "The will of the divine cannot be fathomed. Light and darkness are but narrow distinctions made by human eyes. The Holy See follows one God. To confront the ultimate corruption, we must release Samuel and reforge the power of judgment." Chapter 24:14, Light plunges into darkness too. Leibniz spoke softly, her voice sounding as if she were weeping, yet utterly composed. "All races shall face destruction. If fate cannot be defied, then let us push open the gates of destiny with our own hands. At least, we can still choose the manner of our ruin." Upon hearing this, Xian Yu Fei Ming threw back her head and laughed. Her laughter echoed through the abyss of eternal darkness, lingering long after it faded. "Ha ha ha! What a choice, to decide the manner of our destruction. Orion, your church claims to be the light, yet you and we fanatics share the same ultimate path. In that case, you are kindred spirits." Orion replied coldly, "Don't misunderstand. We are not your kindred spirits. We merely use each other." Leibniz lowered her eyes, her voice trembling like a sob. "Light and darkness will ultimately return to nothingness. Only the divine shall endure eternally in the ultimate void." Thus the three stood atop the abyss, darkness and solemnity intertwining around them. Xian Yu Fei Ming suddenly stretched out both hands. Her fingers spread apart, as if pulling threads from the void itself. "The seal of His Majesty Samuel, after our years of effort, is already shattered beyond repair. If I sacrifice my soul, and you aid me with your sacred artifacts imbued with the power of faith to tear open the rift, the true form of the God may descend once more." Orion and Leibniz closed their eyes, devoutly reciting the verses of the sacred scriptures. "May the kingdom of heaven descend, and the Lord become the sole light of the world. Shatter evil, dispel darkness, and grant eternal life to the faithful." As they chanted, a soft radiance emanated from their bodies, and a pitch-black scroll materialized before their chests. This scroll bore a striking resemblance to the Holy See's Book of Revelation, yet it was entirely formed from the power of faith, as if inscribed with forbidden chapters humanity was never meant to know. It was one of the most sacred relics of the Holy See, a replica of the Book of Revelation. Leibniz slowly unfolded the scroll, her fingertips brushing over the reversed script. A deep, mournful prayer flowed from her lips. Instantly, the darkness of the abyss of eternal darkness seemed to stir. Countless whispers rose from its depths, like the wails of countless vengeful spirits. Before Orion, the Book of Revelation turned its pages of its own accord. The rustling of the leaves sounded like wind through trees, followed by a colossal surge of energy rushing toward the abyss of eternal darkness. In the name of light, rend the darkness. Xian Yufei Ming spread her arms wide. In the name of darkness, welcome eternity. Three forces converged in that instant. The bloodline of the dark moon, the commandments of light, the hymn of morning. Boom! A pitch-black fissure abruptly bloomed at the bottom of the abyss. The crack resembled a giant eye opening, peering into the world from the void. A violent storm erupted, as if the entire abyss of eternal darkness was being torn apart. Countless fragments of rock hung suspended, then plummeted, warping the very fabric of heaven and earth. From the fissure surged an aura that made hearts tremble. It was the power of Samel, the sin of wrath, a demon god from the ancient age. Like a colossal hand, it slowly extended from the bottom of the abyss, touching the edge of the seal. Xian Yufei Ming's face glowed with black light. Her eyes blazed crimson, her entire being bordering on madness. God! I hear your whisper. I see you awakening. Leibniz closed his eyes, two clear tears streaming down her cheeks. Is this the hymn of destruction? Orion clenched his teeth, his right hand gripping the silver cross upon his chest so tightly that thick crimson blood flowed from his palm. The force he unleashed to counter the darkness was not for sealing, but to tear the fissure wide open. This place, too, bore the seal of the Dark Moon Empire's billion-year power. The followers of Xian Yufei Ming had plotted in the shadows for an untold time, waiting precisely for this moment, the sacrifice of the fire seed, to shatter the seal. For this was when Samel's seal was at its weakest. The darkness's power grew ever more terrifying. The mere wisp of aura erupting from the abyss below was enough to make Orion and Leibniz's bodies tremble uncontrollably. They felt like ants before a colossal dragon, a single breath could reduce them to ashes. Black Bishop-level beings with over 40,000 ability index points were scarcely more than insects before the 7 deadly sins. Suddenly, as the rift widened, several terrifying auras erupted from the distance. That pressure crushed down like mountains, instantly freezing the air of the abyss of eternal darkness. Xian Yufei Ming snapped her head up, her gaze tightening sharply. Impossible. How could they be here? 5 dark figures slowly materialized in the sky. Each wore distinct priestly robes, a dark moon floating behind them. The other 5 Dark Moon priests of the Dark Moon Empire had all arrived here. Their gazes were icy as they looked down upon Xian Yufei Ming and the 2 from the Holy See. The voice of the first priest, leading them, was deep and thunderous, echoing through the abyss, filled with boundless disappointment and wrath. Xian Yufei Ming. How dare you collude with heretics, presuming to break Samel's seal? Boom! The darkness of the abyss of eternal darkness trembled once more, as if it would transform into a place of judgment between gods and priests in the next instant. The atmosphere of the abyss of eternal darkness had reached a boiling point. Gaping black fissures spread ceaselessly beneath the earth, like a hideous wound oozing blood and fire black light from the depths of nothingness. Countless whispers wove through the air, like the wails of countless ghosts, tearing at everyone's very soul. 5 majestic figures stood silently suspended in midair. Xian Yufei Ming's eyes narrowed sharply, her heart jolting violently. The ritual to break the seal continued unabated, and tension surged within her. She had executed it flawlessly. Why, then, had these creatures appeared? Especially the High Priestess, she should have been deep within the moon, seeking other energies to replenish the fire seed. How could she have returned so swiftly? Yet, with matters having reached this point, there was little left to say. A cold smile curved at Xian Yufei Ming's lips. The Dark Moon Clan was born precisely to lift His Majesty Samel's seal. Her finger suddenly pointed at the 5 Dark Moon priests. It is you who have betrayed the Dark Moon Clan's mission. The third Dark Moon Priestess stepped forward slowly. She wore a pitch-black robe, the dark moon on her back emitting a faint blood-red glow, like an eye devouring souls. Her voice was icy, yet tinged with a hint of resignation. "Xian Yu Fei Ming, everything you've done. We knew all along. We simply refused to believe it. You once swore loyalty to the Dark Moon. You were the Empire's most fervent guardian. Yet now, you conspire with heretics, recklessly attempting to break Samuel's seal." Her gaze fell coldly upon Xian Yu Fei Ming, like judgment. "And now, your actions are undeniable. Surrender peacefully." Chapter 24:15, Light Plunges into Darkness 3. Upon hearing this, Xian Yu Fei Ming suddenly lowered her head. Her shoulders trembled slightly, appearing flustered, but soon, an extremely eerie laugh surged from her throat. He. Ha ha ha. She snapped her head up, her crimson eyes blazing with a mad fire. "You so-called comrades. You speak of faith, you speak of protecting the Empire. But what have you truly done?" Her voice grew shrill, echoing throughout the entire abyss of eternal darkness. "For tens of thousands of years, you've merely joined hands with those Glowmoon scum, reinforcing the seal to keep His Majesty Samuel's power chained beneath the earth. You fear him, you fear a true god. You cloak your cowardice in the name of so-called order. But I, Xian Yu Fei Ming, have never known fear." She suddenly spread her arms wide, her entire body slowly sinking into the abyss of eternal darkness. The pitch-black fissure churned beneath her feet, like a gaping maw swallowing her whole. Yet she did not struggle. Instead, her face burned with fervor, her eyes flickering with an unearthly light. "Great Creator, Lord Samuel, hear my sacrifice. I offer my soul and bloodline as tribute, seeking your divine favor." In that instant, the abyss thundered with a violent tremor. As if an invisible giant hand reached from the depths, enveloping her form. Xian Yu Fei Ming's body instantly contorted, flesh seemingly scorched yet rapidly reshaped. Ink-black runes bloomed across her skin, bones shattered and reborn, her hair transformed from jet black to blood red, whipping wildly in the wind. Her form surged several times larger in an instant, a black moon riddled with cracks emerging behind her, dripping with blood-red light. She raised her head, eyes blood-red, her voice echoing as if from the depths of the abyss. "See. This is the true miracle. His Majesty Samuel has bestowed his power upon me." A formidable and terrifying aura emanated from Xian Yu Fei Ming. The abyss of eternal darkness, Samuel's sealed domain, yet his spiritual will remained indestructible, rendering him unbound. Sensing his loyal devotee's sacrifice, he bestowed power upon Xian Yu Fei Ming. The 5 priests watched Xian Yu Fei Ming's transformation from midair, the atmosphere freezing solid in that instant. The second priestess snorted coldly, "Madwoman! You dare sacrifice your body to merge with Samuel's power? You have no idea what this means." The fourth priestess shook her head, her voice sharp. "She has fallen completely. She is no longer one of us, but Samuel's kin." The fifth priestess's eyes darkened. "She must be immediately slashed, or the consequences will be dire." Yet the first Dark Moon Priestess raised her hand, halting their actions. Tall and slender, her robes billowed without wind, the dark moon behind her seeming to condense the entire night sky. Her gaze was icy, yet held a trace of solemnity. "Step back." Her voice was calm, yet impossible to defy. At this moment, numbers held no sway. Xian Yu Fei Ming's power surged explosively, skyrocketing from over 50,000 points to a terrifying level exceeding 70,000. Among them all, only the first priestess possessed the strength to face her in combat. The other 4 joining the fray would only be throwing themselves to their deaths. The 4 priestesses exchanged glances, then silently retreated into the distance. The first Dark Moon Priestess advanced slowly, her gaze fixed on Xian Yu Fei Ming. "Fei Ming, I once held the highest hopes for you. You were intelligent, decisive, and determined, the Dark Moon Empire's youngest priestess. Yet now, you walk a path of no return." Her voice held no anger, only a cold, commanding authority. If you insist on becoming Samuel's vessel, then today, I shall end you myself. Xian Yu Feiming snapped her head up, bloodlight exploding in her eyes. And me? Ha ha ha. You hypocrites who call yourselves guardians are nothing but jailers of your own prison. What right do you have to judge me? Boom! She stomped forward, the earth beneath her feet instantly shattering. Pitch-black power surged skyward like a tidal wave, coalescing into sharp blades that slashed directly at the first Dark Moon Priestess. The first Dark Moon Priestess did not dodge. She slowly raised her hand, and the dark moon behind her suddenly blazed with infinite cold light. That light did not illuminate, it suppressed, like the dead silence of night, swallowing all darkness. Boom! 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 Their energies collided in the air, exploding into countless ripples. The entire abyss of eternal darkness shook violently in that instant, as if it might collapse entirely. Xian Yu Feiming laughed wildly, her arms flailing relentlessly. Black chains erupted from her body, as if determined to drag everything into the abyss. Her power no longer belonged to mortals, it was the fury of Samuel's essence unleashed. Yet the first Dark Moon Priestess remained unflappable. Her hands folded together, she murmured ancient incantations. The dark moon behind her slowly rotated, transforming into an unfathomably deep vortex. Within the vortex, countless runes flickered, as if even light and sound were being swallowed whole. The enormous full moon circled 3 times in the sky, its cascading moonlight striking Xian Yu Feiming's body directly, causing her form to tremble 3 times. With a thunderous crash, Xian Yu Feiming's dark chains collided with the vortex. The chains shattered inch by inch, reduced to ashes. What? Xian Yu Feiming's eyes narrowed sharply. The first Dark Moon Priestess's voice was icy. This is the true meaning of the Dark Moon, protection, not destruction. Her figure, like the sharpest sword in the night sky, closed in on Xian Yu Feiming. The foremost warrior of the Dark Moon Empire must first possess power of the utmost magnitude. Unlike the 6th generation of humans, whose history spans less than 1,000,000 years, the lunar people have existed for over 1,000,000,000 years. They inherited their strength and knew how to grow powerful. Even now, the humans of Earth appeared to them little more than primitive beings, barely beyond the stage of learning to walk upright. Yet, facing the formidable first Dark Moon Priestess, Xian Yu Feiming showed no sign of retreat. She roared defiantly toward the heavens, her voice tearing through the air, "Your Majesty Samuel, grant me more power. I shall show these traitors who betrayed their faith the true might of a demon god." Boom! The fissure beneath the abyss abruptly widened, spewing forth an even more terrifying aura. Her body swelled once more, monstrous black bone wings sprouting from her arms, while the blood moon on her back ignited into blazing flames. She stood like a demon god stripped of humanity, surveying the world from above. "Come forth, Misha of the Dark Moon. With the power of His Majesty Samuel, I shall tear you apart. Sacrificing you will surely please His Majesty greatly." The first Dark Moon Priestess's gaze sharpened, her robes fluttering in the wind. "Then I shall show you the true chasm between the first priestess and the 6th priestess of the Dark Moon Empire.